G'day, this is Mike. I just want to talk a little bit about this voltage cutout board and how we can adapt or wire it up so that we can cope with a higher current drain that would normally be allowed. If you have a look at the details here, there's a maximum of 10 amps this board can handle. So what we're going to do is put it in an application where we might need more than that. So for example, I've got a compressor in the back of my vehicle that runs at least 20 amps to pump up the four-wheel drive tires. So how can we do that? Well, what we're going to do is use a relay switch and wire this up, and then I'll show you how it works. Just before we get started, these boards are great. You can get them on eBay. I'll put a link down below. The fantastic thing about these is that we've got an actual digital display here, and using these controls we can set the high voltage and the low voltage. So the voltage at which the supply cuts out and cuts in, and we can also set a delay. So it's a really useful bit of kit, and it's not very expensive. Plus it has an audible alarm up here as well. Okay, let me show you how it works. Okay, so here I've got the board wired up here. I've got a relay, and I'm going to show you another one of these relays to show you how this actually works. Got my power supply over here. It's set to, I don't know if you can make it out, 13.36 volts is going to come out of that when I turn it on. And I've got a light over here which shows if the system's working. So the relay that I've got is rated at 30 amps here. But the really cool thing about it is that it's got its own built-in blade fuse which you can just pull out. So we've got circuit protection kind of built into this. You can put a lower rated blade fuse in there, but for this particular unit it's a maximum of 30 amps, and that's going to do the job that I want. Okay, so let's check that everything works here. What we're going to do is just turn on the power. And I don't know if you heard, but the relay cut in and the light is on. My supply voltage is 13.3 volts, and that's indicated down here on the digital display as well. And the voltage regulator is happy because the blue light is on and steady. The high voltage is set at 13.2, so if the input voltage is more than 13.2, then it will happily activate this relay, and then that relay supplies the light over there. And of course that light's only drawing less than an amp, but the relay is quite capable, and the power supply is quite capable of going up much higher than that. Okay, so that's the basic setup. Okay, so now just checking that my voltage regulator is actually working. I'm going to decrease the voltage here on the supply, and you'll see that that figure's decreasing. This figure is also decreasing. The low voltage on the circuit board is programmed at 11.5, so I'm going to bring that down to less than 11.5, and you can see the blue light's flashing. In a few seconds this alarm will come up, and that should turn out the light. Yep, that's fine. Now if I bring the voltage back up again over 13.2, you can see that red light's flashing now, which indicates that it's about to come back on, and there it does. And you can hear the relay switching in and out there. So that's working fine. So basically what we've got here is some wiring that allows basically the supply input coming in there, and instead of going directly into the board, I've tapped out a little bit of wire that goes into the board, and then that wire then goes and activates the relay, and then when that relay pulls in, it allows the full current to go through and then back out again. Okay, so that works great. Thanks very much for watching. Oh, one more thing that I wanted to mention. You may notice I've got a switch here, and the reason for that is that it may be necessary for me to bypass this whole circuitry. So at the moment in the switch position number 1 there, this is all working fine. But let's say I'm in an emergency situation and the voltage is low, but I still want that power to go through. I want to get a little bit more out of that battery because for whatever reason I need it. So I've hooked up a 2-position switch here which will allow me to do that. Let me demonstrate that. Okay, so everything's functioning normally. I'm going to reduce this voltage down to the lower threshold of 11.5. Okay, so my blue light's flashing now, and I should get an alarm in a moment. Yep, there it goes. So now, if I flick this to position number 2, there you go. So this is wired up in such a way that allows the relay to be activated, bypassing this circuitry when the position of the switch is in position 2. This circuit board is detecting that incoming voltage through its output terminals. I wasn't sure how that was going to work. It seems to be okay. The alarm's beeping every now and then, and it is indicating that it's below the low threshold, but the system's still working. So that gives me the option of doing that. Okay, so I can operate bypassing the circuitry. I can turn it off completely, or I can put it into the normal position, position 1, and it's going to go into the alarm almost straight away. So I'll just turn that off now. Great, so that's working as I want. Thanks very much for watching.